All right, so guys, this is number 10 out of section 4.5, and it says answer the following questions for, and it gives us our function here, our trig function, h of x equals 2 sine of 4x minus pi plus 3. And it says graph the function and identify the key points, and it gives me some information here too, so we'll figure all that stuff out. So let's see, the first question says, let's see, identify the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. Okay, so let's see. So the amplitude, remember guys, if our function is h of x, I'm just going to write it so it's a little bit bigger. 2 sine of 4x minus pi, and then plus 3. So my amplitude here, and I know the student already answered these questions, I just want to make sure that everybody understands. The amplitude is going to be the absolute value of 2. It's always going to be the absolute value of whatever number you have here, okay? So in this case, it's 2. Remember, our period is going to be always 2 pi, there we go, 2 pi over b, which in this case is 4, and that's going to reduce to pi over 2. And then our, let's see, our phase shift, I'm just going to use ps for phase shift. If you remember, it was going to be the values c over b, where this was my c value. So my c value is just the pi, and our b value was 4, so it's going to be pi over 4, right? And then I'll get to the vertical shift part in a minute. But what I really want to do is I want to see, okay, how would I graph this function, right? And once I do my graph, then I can come back and I'll answer my vertical shift part, okay? So what I'm going to do is on the next page, I'm just going to write h of x equals 2 sine of, I think it was 4x minus pi, yes, plus 3. So 4x minus pi plus 3. Okay, so remember, the first thing we were always doing was we were taking this piece here and we were going to solve this inequality, right? 2 pi. So guys, just to let you know, I'm not dealing with this part right yet. That part is going to come later, okay? The reason it's going to come later is since this piece here is in parentheses, this is what's going to affect my x values, okay? And I actually just made a little boo-boo. I see it now. I put a 2x and it should be a 2 pi. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solve this inequality. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to add pi to both sides. And we're going to do that all the way across. So that's going to give me pi is less than or equal to 4x, which is less than or equal to 3 pi, right? Because 2 pi plus another one is 3 pi. And then we're going to divide everything by 4. And so we have pi over 4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3 pi over 4. So guys, remember, we were always finding 5 points, right? We were finding the first point, second point, third point, fourth point, and fifth point. And this is my first value for the x, and this is my fifth value for the x. So I'm still going to find these here, right? Now, I'm gonna do that in a second. I'm just going to come back real quick. Do you see where it said in part B, graph the function and identify the key points over this interval? That's that interval right there, okay? So remember how we're going to find our next points, right? When I'm going to find the second, third, and the fourth, I'm going to solve these equations. Pi over 2, 4x minus pi equals pi, and 4x minus pi equals 3 pi over 2. Okay, so I'm going to do that over on the next page. So let's do this. So we're going to say 4x minus pi equals pi over 2. Let's do this one first. So we're going to add pi to both sides. Okay. So that's going to give me a 4x equals. Now, I need to get a common denominator. Come on, pen. There we go. Need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to put a 2 here and a 2 here, because that's my common denominator. And so this is going to give me 3 pi over 2. And then I'm going to multiply by my reciprocal, 1/4. And that's going to give me x equals 3 pi over 8. So here is my second value, okay? Now let's do the same thing to find the third point. So we're going to say 4x minus pi equals pi. So we're going to add pi to both sides. And that's going to leave me with 4x equals 2 pi. So I'm going to multiply by 1/4. 1/4, so those are going to cancel. I can reduce this one and this one. So that's going to leave me with a pi over 2. And then we're going to do this one last time. 4x minus pi equals 3 pi, over 2. And I'm going to add pi to both sides. Okay, so those are going to go away. 4x equals, just like we did here, I'm going to get a common denominator, so I'm going to put a 2 there and a 2 there. That's going to leave me with a 5 pi over 2. And then I'm going to multiply by 1/4 to get rid of my 4 here. And this is going to leave me with a 5 pi over 8. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to write out our 3 values, right? So let me come back here. So I have pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. Okay. So let's do it like this. We're going to say x, right? And I know the first one is pi over 4, and the last one was 3 pi over 4. And one more. Okay, and then we're going to have the 3 values, 3 pi over 8, pi over 2, 5 pi over 8. So, 3 pi over 8, pi over 2, 5 pi over 8. So 3 pi over 8, pi over 2, 5 pi over 8, right? Okay, so remember, the function that we were graphing, where the x part was, had a 4x minus pi, right? So these are going to be my standard values, like 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And then we were taking the sign of all that funky business, and we said, well, we know these values, right? I know the sign of 0 is 0. I know this one is 1. I know this is 0. I know that's -1, and I know that is 0 again. And then we had something in front. I'm going to come back because I already forgot what my function looks like. Here we go. So now I need to multiply that number by 2. So let's do that here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 2 sign of 4x minus pi. And so all I'm doing here, y'all, is I'm just taking these values and I'm multiplying them by 2. So that's 0, 2, 0, minus 2, and 0. And then the last part I think we had was, 2 sine of 4x minus pi. And then wasn't there a plus 3 at the end of that? Yep, here's our plus 3. So let's come back over here and let me put my plus 3. So all I'm doing now is with these values, I'm just going to add 3 to them. So 0 and 3 is 3, 2 and 3 is 5, that's 3. -2 plus 3 should be a 1, and 0 plus 3 should be a 3. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my picture, right? And my x values are going to be pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, pi over 2, 5 pi over 8, and 3 pi over 4. And it looks like the smallest value we have is 1, and the biggest value we have is 5. So let me see if I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So the first one's going to be here at 3. We're going to go to 5. We're going to go to 3, and come back down to 1, and then back to 3. And so here's my graph, right? And they said something about there was a, so here's what my graph looks like, right? And I said the question we were going to answer was, what was that vertical shift? So the vertical shift, y'all, is always going to be this last piece right here. So I want to say there's probably a part 4 of 5, right? And probably part 5 of 5 is to draw the picture, but the vertical shift, so I'm going to call it VS for vertical shift, would be the +3, or it might say something like 3 up, something like that, because it's up because it's positive, right? So anyway, let me come back just so you can take a look at the picture one more time. And there's my graph, okay? So anyway, I hope this makes sense. If y'all got any questions, please let me know.